15 centuries ago, a Turkish sailor drew a mysterious world map. This map, divided by enigmatic lines, depicts lands that had not yet been discovered, frightening illustrations, and places that do not exist in reality. Moreover, it was drawn before the Earth was proven to be round and even includes landmasses that would only be discovered centuries later. How could a captain who never sailed beyond the Mediterranean draw a world map and seemingly know the future? What secrets does Piri Reis world map conceal? April 17, 1513. After spending 30 years on the open seas, the famous Turkish sailor retires into seclusion and completes the greatest work of his life, one of the most mysterious maps in history. The map is radically different from those of its contemporaries. Piri Reis accurately depicts the coasts of America, discovered only 20 years earlier, and includes almost the entirety of South America. Shortly after its creation, however, the map disappears and remains lost for 4 centuries, until it is rediscovered by chance, revealing astonishing details that leave scientists in awe. Professor Hikmet Kirik, who has studied society and history for 30 years, now seeks to uncover the truths behind the world's most mysterious map. Despite being drawn over 500 years ago, the Piri Reis map remains one of the greatest enigmas in world history. It shows lands that were supposedly undiscovered at the time and includes strange symbols. Even more astonishingly, it was drawn with an unprecedented scale and perspective. How could this be possible? What secrets does the Piri Reis map hide? And most importantly, how did Piri Reis draw it? To answer these questions, we must travel 5 centuries back and enter the mind of a captain of the early modern age. The surviving portion of the map is drawn on gazelle skin using 9 different colors. Measuring approximately 65 by 90 centimeters, it contains 24 separate notes written by Piri Reis himself. At its center lies the Atlantic Ocean. The western coasts of Europe and Africa, along with large portions of North and South America, are clearly visible. The map also includes depictions of various kings and 17 different animal figures. One of the most astonishing aspects of the map is that it documents the Earth as a sphere, nearly 8 years before Magellan's famous circumnavigation. At the time the map was drawn, the roundness of the Earth had not yet been proven. The discovery of America as a separate continent was still debated. Yet Piri Reis clearly understood that the Earth was round and knew the true proportions of the continents. Christopher Columbus, by contrast, believed that sailing west would lead directly to Asia and never accepted that he had discovered a new continent. Piri Reis, who had never sailed the Atlantic Ocean, somehow knew that America was a separate landmass. Achieving this without modern instruments was akin to discovering a planet without a telescope. His map's drawing technique is so precise that in many aspects it rivals even modern maps in terms of accuracy and proportion. One of the most controversial claims is that the southern section of the map depicts Antarctica 3 centuries before its official discovery. Some researchers once believed the map showed Antarctica without ice, suggesting knowledge from before the last ice age. However, modern simulations demonstrate that what was believed to be Antarctica is actually a distorted representation of South America. The distortion likely originated from Portuguese explorers who intentionally altered coastlines to shift territorial claims eastward under the Treaty of Tordesillas. Piri Reis, relying on the most up-to-date intelligence of his era, incorporated these distorted sources while still annotating that the territory belonged to Spain. The map is drawn in the Portolan style, a navigational technique used by sailors long before latitude and longitude were formalized. The compass roses and directional lines on the map are practical tools, not mystical symbols. Some researchers later claimed that the angular relationships between these points formed a perfect geometric projection centered on Cairo, even suggesting satellite-like imagery. However, there is no evidence that Piri Reis intended such a projection. The idea arises from overinterpretation of incomplete data, as only half of the original map survives. The animal and mythical figures on the map have also fueled speculation. Some have claimed these figures indicate esoteric or supernatural knowledge. Yet historians explain that such imagery was common in medieval cartography, serving symbolic and geographic purposes. For example, elephants indicated Africa or India, while mythical creatures marked unknown or dangerous territories. In his famous book Kitab-i Barrier, Piri Reis explains his sources clearly. He states that he compiled his world map using more than 30 earlier maps, including those drawn by Portuguese explorers and Christopher Columbus. A key source of information was Rodrigo de Triana, the sailor who first sighted land during Columbus' voyage. Historical records suggest that after returning from the New World, de Triana traveled to North Africa, converted to Islam, and later served under Kamal Reis, Piri Reis' uncle. Through him, Piri Reis gained first-hand knowledge of Columbus' journey. Ultimately, the mystery of the Piri Reis map does not lie in supernatural explanations, time travel, or lost civilizations. Its true brilliance lies in Piri Reis' method, gathering the most current information of his time, comparing sources, and synthesizing them with exceptional cartographic skill. Piri Reis was not merely a sailor, he was a scientist, an intellectual, and a master cartographer. His goal was not to leave behind a mystery, but to map the known world as accurately as possible. In 1553, after losing much of his fleet in a conflict with the Portuguese at Hormuz, Piri Reis was executed by order of Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent. He was nearly 80 years old. In a strange twist of fate, he died in Cairo, the very city that some believe lies at the center of his greatest work. The surviving fragment of his map has been debated for over a century and will likely continue to be discussed for generations to come. Its true legacy lies not in mystery, but in the extraordinary maritime genius behind it. The only unanswered question remains: what happened to the missing half of the Piri Reis map? Perhaps one day it will be discovered, and when it is, everything we think we know may change.